Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wes and Shelley Share. I'm Wes Fryer. I'm here in Stallings, North Carolina. We actually just had to be kind of chased in from our patio where we were just having a lovely hamburger dinner because some rain is rolling in. We're going to call this episode, I think, Time Capsule, and we are going to recount a little bit of what today held because it was just like a perfect Saturday. And we are going to talk about this political moment because there's a lot that feels a bit surreal as we're a week and a half out from the election. And then we're going to also just kind of talk about our family and why we're so proud of where our kids are today and the choices they're making and kind of where we just see ourselves as parents and the spouses and empty nesters and fur baby parents and all that good stuff. So, hello, Shelley. How are you tonight?
I'm feeling relaxed tonight. It's a beautiful fall evening. We did have to come inside from our chimney fire, but we did get to have a picnic on the patio and enjoy the pinon wood for a little while. And we worked in the yard earlier this afternoon. So anyway, I love having everything kind of neat and tidy in the backyard. It was beautiful.
So, we'll just kind of recount a little bit of today. So, we've been busy and I've been co chairing our stewardship committee for church, which has meant the last 2 months pretty much a Thursday night meeting every week. And so this week, we did not have a meeting. But we did go, we went, we went to a author talk at St. John's Baptist Church in Uptown Charlotte, just down the street from our church, about countering Christian nationalism. And so there's been a lot of things, election wise, of course, that have been on our minds. But let's talk a little bit about what else went on today. Besides cleaning up, we actually didn't get all the leaves at the end of last year, either in our front or our backyard. There are a lot of leaves here, if you didn't know. And so anyway, we just thought, well, let's go ahead and work on the backyard and then we'll work on the front yard later. But this would be the time to plant fescue seeds if we were going to be planting seeds. And so anyway, the yard was kind of a mess too from Hurricane Helene and all the branches. We did not get hardly any damage at all. I think we only got 4 inches of rain, which was a small amount compared to other places. But anyway, we did that. And then, Shelley, it's only taken us 2 years. What did we do after that when we hit the road today?
Well, we have a lovely park in South Carolina that we love to go to, and Springs close. I guess it's a club. I mean, it's open to anyone, but it's a greenway. Um, but we've been hiking there. It was recommended by Lee Tappy, who is I guess it's Wes's principal, and it's one of the very first places that we traveled to go hiking, and we just fell in love with it. I mean, a lot of our pictures have been taken at Ann Springs, but they have a wonderful dog park, and so we were on a wait list, and then emails were sent to spam, and anyway, so we finally got a membership to the dog park, and it is a membership, but it has acres of trails. It's a fenced in, but dogs can be off leash on the trail. So it's fenced in. And anyway, it's the first time we've ever hiked with our dogs where they've been off leash, and they did well. I mean, I think they did really well. Rosie and Moose particularly enjoyed the stream. There's a pond that dogs can swim in, but there's also was a stream. And that was a lot of fun, and they enjoyed that. So they did really well on the trails. We did see some other dogs, and they sniffed and they greeted, and they just kept going, and they stayed with us majority of the time. Oh my goodness, talk about enrichment, sniff enrichment. Just all kinds of smells for them. And then we played in the dog park for a little while, and I brushed him really well. But it was such a lovely week. Um, Saturday afternoon activity, and it was just the perfect fall day. So yes, it was absolutely wonderful.
And the leaves have just started to change color here in the last week or so. And so there's still lots and lots of green leaves, but in some cases, we've got trees that are fully, golden, orange, uh, red. We've got just all colors, but it's really kind of a time where I think the trees are being touched by the fall. We've heard it's going to be a milder winter than normal. We have not had a freeze, and that's normal. I think, from what I understand, sometimes we'll get a freeze maybe in November, but it's not that common for us to be, super cold here. We have not ever had snow since we've been here. The spring before we moved here, we moved in August of 2022. The spring prior, they had some snow for just like an inch or so, I guess, a few inches that just melted off, the next day. So just absolutely perfect weather. It might have gotten up to 80, high 70s. Lows, start off probably in the 60s. I think this front with this rain that we're getting is supposed to bring us down in the 50s, but it is just absolutely beautiful. We are so happy we are here. It was a really challenging move. And, financially, we're still recovering and will be, I think, for a while. But we do not have regrets about the decision to move here. And so, yeah, it was just kind of a perfect night. And we've got the windows. We have a sun porch on the back of our house, and it's got all these windows and sliding glass panes and that also have screens. And so we've got the screens on, but we've got all of them open tonight, and you can hear the rain and you can hear maybe a little bit of light wind. It's amazing how little wind there is here. In fact, as this front came in, there was a little bit of wind, and that just stirred the trees enough for a bunch of leaves to start to fall. And anyway, it was just really pretty. So, Shelley, let's talk a little bit about this political moment. What does it feel like for you being a week and a half away from this election? I know we steer clear of talking about a lot of things, but I sort of feel like, this is a historic time, and that's why I just wanted to kind of capture some of this in a time capsule. Plus, I think it helps us process it to talk about it. So what are some thoughts that are going through your mind as we're here a week and a half away from actual election day?
Well, it's a really strange thing to be in a state that is a swing state because, wow, in Oklahoma, we voted, but I don't think our vote really mattered a whole lot. But here in North Carolina, it is imperative that people vote. I'm really proud of our church. And I'm just mainly an observer this year. I know I should like commit to action, but our church has been really motivated to get people to vote. Mm, we I think they do a really good job, specifically at church and sermons and activities of being nonpartisan, just encouraging people to vote, to register to vote. I know at every event that we've had or we sponsored or we've been there, we've been working with the League of Women Voters to help people get registered to vote. Many people that have never voted in an election before, and I know through the hard work of a lot of people, that is really going to make a difference. So I'm proud of our church for doing that. We are going to vote this week. Early voting is really important here. And so I think the last day of early voting is November 2nd. And so we want to make sure that we do that. Political climate, I probably am more informed about what's going on in this election more than I ever have been. Um, it's it's been a struggle sometimes um, to witness some of the conversations that are happening over social media, or maybe just in a line at the grocery store, or um, I I don't know. I think this is a very pivotal election, and I think one way or the another, it's gonna be historical, um, in either direction. I think it's gonna be, contentious, in either direction. Um, I wanna make sure that we are rock solid on our values and what I love to talk about community, um, and a lot of what I've tried to do and we've tried to do is listen for community builders. As Wes said, he's a community prepper, a communitarian, regardless of how our neighborhood or our school or our church is voting, we want to make sure that we're taking care of people, and seeing people for who they are. Um, and I think we've really tried to focus on that. I've tried to look for the truth, and it's been a challenge to find trusted sources that I think are telling the truth and not putting a spin on things. I've been disgusted, honestly, and a little bit by both sides on the amount of um, energy that has been put to talk about the opposing side. Um, I definitely have a candidate that I'm definitely voting for, and and I do believe in maintaining our rights, that we have established now. And I don't want to move backwards in some of the gains that women have made, that LGBTQ um, plus people have made, that women have made. Um, and so I definitely want to support democratic rights in that. I want to make sure that um, our neighbors and our immigrant neighbors are um, seen for the hardworking individuals that they are. Um, anyway, it's I feel like I've been an observer, an outside observer, um, and it's been really different being in a swing state and noting. I mean, like President Obama was here, Kamala yesterday, and Trump's been in and out, two or three times. The way it really affects us is they shut down all of downtown, and it makes traffic even worse than it ever is. So we did not get to see President Obama yesterday, and I'm sorry we didn't. But at the same time, um, I have to honestly say, being in a large group of people in a contentious election is not necessarily where I want to be right now. So anyway, how about you, Wes?
There is so much that I feel like we don't talk about and feel like we can't talk about publicly. And so actually, I want to talk about a few of those things here. In part is because I want to preserve, you know, our perceptions of where we are. I was telling Shelley, I feel like that Lord of the Rings scene in like the Return of the King when Pippin and Gandalf are in Gondor looking out at the fields of Pelennor towards Osgiliath and um, Minas Morgul, and there's like Pippin's like sitting on the edge of a battle is so hard, and I feel like we have had a calm before the storm. I It feels weird to not have been making my political voice and my political opinions known on social media and putting a yard sign in our yard. We're not. I had a crazy talk with one of my parents, one of my sixth grade parents, Clive's father, at Cassidy in April or May before we left in 2022. We had a chance to take the kids on a camp out. I think it was in May. It was wonderful. And I probably talked to him for 2 hours, and oh my gosh, one of the things that he was talking about at that time, and this was in Oklahoma, he was very convinced that there were extremist right-wing groups that were keeping track of people in neighborhoods who had identified themselves as Democrats and that there was a strong likelihood of those people experiencing political violence, um, depending upon how things went down with elections and things like that. One of the things that I have not talked much at all about publicly is maybe 2 years ago or a year ago, I created a new YouTube channel because I had been looking at content for, well, I guess we talk about this a little bit, for this communitarian prepper project. I think we should be prepared for emergencies. We just had Hurricane Helene that hit the Carolinas, absolutely devastated in an Armageddon level event. But that's no kidding. Um, just crazy, wiping, you know, towns off the map, historic flooding. We've still got people in Western North Carolina without power. And it's been a month since that's happened. Anyway, I think that we ought to be prepared for all sorts of emergencies, whether it's a natural emergency or some kind of other, crisis, something else that happens. And so, anyway, as I was watching those videos and different associated videos relating to, let's just say preppers, there's more than that, but basically that content had all taken over my YouTube channel. And I ended up getting some really crazy stuff that I wouldn't typically see. So what I ended up doing was just deleting the history of all those kinds of videos that I'd watched on my main channel. And I basically sort of took that YouTube channel back for things that I'm more normally watching. And then I have this other channel. Well, now that I have that channel, and I actually enjoy watching different influencers and content there. It's just wild, the different voices in social media that people are presented depending upon the ways we have curated our feeds, that we have liked videos, that we have subscribed, all of this kind of stuff. And so one of the things that I am very concerned about is political violence. It's crazy to me that we've already had attempts on one of the presidential candidates' lives, more than once. And, I was born in 1970. Shelley was born in 1965. You know, neither of us remember the political violence of the 1960s, the assassinations of President Kennedy, of Attorney General Robert Kennedy, of Martin Luther King Jr. Um, the anger that we have in society and the vitriol and the desire by a number of people, and we're talking a lot of folks, to really just kind of blow up the system. Lots and lots of anger. And social media has absolutely played a huge role in fanning those flames. And so I guess I sort of feel like we are standing on the edge of a precipice, and there's just stuff that we're going to have to go through as a nation. But depending upon who wins the presidency, it can, it's, I think it's going to be difficult either way, because I think there are going to be some powerful forces that are going to contest the outcome of the election. If for instance Harris wins, there's going to be all kinds of people who are going to contest the election. I think the thing that feels the worst to me is that I don't feel like I have stood up enough for democracy and for human rights and for the values that are important. And I feel like those things are truly on the line in this election. And I have two of the projects that I've been working on for a while is a conspiracies and culture wars project, which is really trying to figure out what the heck is happening with the weaponization of social media and the ways in which conspiracy theories have been ascendant and extremist voices have had such an outsized amplification. And then the Republican Party has been taken over by very, extreme, extreme folks. There is not the moderate voices have been pushed out of the Republican Party at this point. And so that project and then another project called Heal Our Culture I've been working on. So I'm talking too long because anyway, I am. What 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 kinds of messages, I guess, would you want to share with our children, Shelly? They're not here, but at least one or two of them are probably going to listen to this. So what would you want to share with them in this political moment, in terms of encouragement and just a parental a parental message from your perspective?
Well, I'm just gonna kind of do that and segue into maybe our next section. But number one, I feel very proud of each of our children, and the accomplishments that they have had. They've been hard workers. They're responsible. They love people. They're kind. They are taking steps to do the right thing. Making good choices. And I don't say that lightly. Of course, we said things like that when they were toddlers, but they've worked hard. They're hardworking young people, and they're going to make their mark in this world. And they're all so smart and so caring and are doing amazing things. I love the young people that they have chosen. And I feel very confident in the adults that they will come and the parents that they will be. Um, I feel very blessed that Alexander and Grace are married and that they've found each other and that they are committed to each other. I think they are responsible human beings who are going to be amazing to each other, take care of each other, um, raise amazing children. Um, I don't know. I'm very proud in that and the adults that they have been and that they are all becoming. I don't know. I guess I'm rambling. And I suppose most parents are proud of their children, but it is wonderful as a parent to look back and see, wow, you think about who they were as young children and the funny things that they would say and the ways that they talked but to have children that are standing and making their own decisions and um adulting. They're adulting now and they're doing a really good job of it. And they care about people. And I just I'm immensely proud. And no matter what happens in our country, no matter who is elected, no matter what the things, I am confident in the abilities of our children to cope and to overcome and to deal with and to become the amazing humans that God has created them to be. And so I don't know if that, but they were prepared. They are prepared. Um, and I have a lot of hope that um, that they will continue, and that our grandchildren will continue, and our grandchildren's children will continue, and that in whatever part or place that they find themselves, that they will bring hope to all of those around them. So,
Well, I guess my message would just be one of hope and one of resilience. I think that it's hard to have a perspective on the whole arc of history, but it's important to study history, and we do study history, and we know that there have been incredibly difficult circumstances and situations that people who have lived before us have survived and lived through. And of course, some people didn't survive. I mean, wars we've had, and famines and, the Great Depression and it's, losing children in childbirth. I mean, there's so many different struggles and things that have happened. And as a society, we are more connected than we ever have before. I think one of the things that I would like to do, and we need to see if we can set this up with them, is we need to have some calls periodically, like once a month or something. We ended up having a call with both Sarah and Rachel a week or so ago, just coincidentally because they were both calling, but it was absolutely lovely. And I know during COVID, there were a few times when we did that as a family. But communication, this is one thing that's actually struck me with Hurricane Helene and watching, different videos and people who've talked about lessons learned. Communication. Oh my word. There is he's not just a prepper. He's really like a former like special forces, like Second Amendment guy. And it's interesting on this YouTube channel because there's a bunch of people who I am not politically aligned with, but it's very interesting to step outside my own bubble and echo chamber and listen to what people are saying and what their views and opinions are. Anyway, this is not a political opinion. He was just talking about what top 3 things that you need to have for emergencies. He said Starlink communication was number 1. And that is something that we certainly heard, for Hurricane Helene. One of the first things that got taken down by the hurricane force winds were the cell towers. And being out of communication, knowing what was going on in the outside world, being able to reach others, being able to get assistance, it's just so, so important. And I've talked about, years ago, we moved here, I was trying to say, I'm going to get my ham radio license. And I kind of tried a little bit and then didn't work out the first time I took the test. And so I sort of gave up. I still want to do that, but communication is important. And it's important for us to remember that we're not alone. And I think it's so important for us to, remember that God is real and God walks with us. And when we reach out to God and we ask for help and we need to build our community, we need to continue to build friendships, invest time with others, whoever our neighbors might be, at work. Relationships are so, so important. And so I'm really thankful. Shelley has commented about this with Germany, like wondering if she might have stayed longer if we had free long distance, and video conferencing and FaceTime and Zoom and all these technologies that we have, because it was really, really hard for her to be away from her mother for so long. And I think that we probably take this for granted. I've thought about this with my dad. I have a monthly Zoom call for an hour with my spiritual director, with Kurt Rule. And it is so wonderful to be able to have that time. But I realized, wait a second, I'm really not, I do talk to Dad about every week, but I'm not always I don't video with him that often. Relationships are so important. And so I think that's one of the things that we need to continue to build without a doubt. We do need to pay attention to, a communication plan and all kinds of things for emergency preparedness. And I don't want to dive into that here. You can go to calmprep.westfriar.com if you'd like to see a lot of videos and things that I have about that topic. But just communication, I guess I had not thought of communication. I knew that it was important and I knew that it was a top priority, but I wouldn't have necessarily put it at the top. And so anyway, I just feel like we need to maintain communication. This podcast, by the way, is an example of communication. I think it's absolutely wonderful that Rachel and Sarah listen to this. And, I don't know if Alexander and Race ever have, but they might someday. Who knows who's going to listen to this, right? If it gets preserved. Anyway, it's a way of staying connected. And that is super important. Okay, well, I think we need a halftime. And then I think we need to talk about something positive. I think, what I'd like to talk about? Let's talk about bedtime routines with our kids and the books that we enjoyed reading to them. I'll try to say that without being emotional because, man, some of this, anyway, we marvel at how we're getting older and time has marched on. So let's go to halftime and then we'll come back to a very positive thing talking about bedtime stories when our children were young.
Hey there, North Carolina! Are you ready to experience a funnel cake revolution? It's time to meet Friar's Funnel Cakes, where tradition meets taste and deliciousness is just a bite away.
Created by 2 passionate school teachers, Friar's Funnel Cakes isn't just about satisfying your sweet tooth. It's a story of family, dedication, and a sprinkle of teachers' love in every bite.
Imagine a warm golden funnel cake dusted with the perfect amount of powdered sugar. And wait for it, you get to drizzle as much or as little chocolate syrup as your heart desires.
Got an event? Want to bring some joy to your gathering? Friar's Funnel Cakes is ready to hit the road and bring our sizzling sweet sensations to you.
Don't just take our word for it. Here's what one of our satisfied customers had to say.
Well, I thought I'd had a good funnel cake, but when I had one of them Friar's Funnel Cakes, it just set a new standard in taste and excellence. It's a game changer for sure.
So, what are you waiting for, Matthews? Head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/FriersFunnelCakes and let's make your next event a deliciously memorable one.
And we're back. Hopefully you will find a time to enjoy some Friar's Funnel Cakes. Actually, on that note, we had last weekend our fall festival at PD, and it was absolutely wonderful. And it was at our school, and it was a beautiful fall day. And I think it was our most successful funnel cake event that we've ever had. And it was really fun. Although, did it make me tired? I think it took me 2 or 3 days to recover from that. And next weekend we'll do it for our church fall event. So anyway, retreat. So yes, if you're in the area, come and see us. Some delicious funnel cakes. Okay, so we decided that for this next section that we would like to talk about something positive and just some memories. I think one thing that's always fun to reminisce about childhood parenting memories. And one of our favorite things to do was to put our children to bed. Now, as they have not learned yet, but bedtime routines it takes up a lot of time when kids are little, and you try to do it really early because you're exhausted and you're ready for your child to go to bed so that you can have some time to yourself. But it's something that we loved, and we love doing it together. So when the children were really young, and I think back when we were living on 39th Street, we really had one bathroom. We had 2 bathrooms, but the other bathroom was really tiny. So we really had one bathroom. And so bath time was always a joy, and it was really fun. We had a long countertop, and, bath time was usually together, so you bathe both kids at the same time, and that just saved you time. And then they entertain each other in the bathtub. But, you had to be there, and you had to watch. You had to make sure nobody was drowning. We didn't have a lot of the fancy equipment that they have now. But I do remember a bath seat. So you had the bath seat, and you had the bath toys. And that was always really fun. I always liked bath time at Nana's house, too, because Nana had different bath time toys. In fact, a lot of our animal collection, she had a lot of these animals, and that was always fun. So you had bath toys at Nana's house, and then you had our bath toys at home. And I always loved you put the baby lotion and all of the stuff on, and they always smelled so sweet. And then you got to rock them, and I remember rocking them and singing to them. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Anyway, we had a whole singing routine. And we would read stories, and we would cuddle. And then the sweetest thing was just saying our nighttime prayers. And we always prayed together. And I know that we probably both did bedtime together, but I kind of think that majority of the time when they were babies, I probably did a lot of it. I don't know, maybe that's just what I'm remembering. But when we moved to our house, when we moved to our house across from Murphy, I was pregnant with Rachel. big time pregnant. And this is something you'll know. The more children you have, you kind of get bigger and bigger with each one. I don't know if your stomach's all stretched out or what, but Rachel, I was really, really pregnant with her. And so I'm sure that, and then Alexander was getting ready to start kindergarten. And I had gestational diabetes. That's right. Having to test my blood sugar every day. So I was tired. I mean, it wears you out. And then having young children wears you out. And so I think that's about the time that you entered in. And it really, I think you did a lot of bedtimes when we had moved. Anyway, but that's also the time when, again, reading out loud to them and praying with them, each and individually. Books were a huge thing. Oh my goodness. I think Sarah was in that Fancy Nancy phase. I think we had every Fancy Nancy book, and we read a lot of Fancy Nancy. And Alexander, I think that's when you started reading chapter books to him. And you'll have to remember those. You were more of the chapter book reader. I was more of the Bear Snores On. I think that was Rachel's book, Bear Snores On. And Alexander, he had his books that he liked to read, but I can remember one of the first books that, well, it was a hard book. He loved Hank the Cowdog. You remember reading, which was funny because the dialect in it is so different. And then, of course, he loved Thomas the Train Engine and those books. But anyway, bedtime was so sweet, and those prayers were so precious. And I think we prayed with our kids through high school. I miss those times now. We still pray on the phone occasionally, especially when it's been a particularly hard week. So I think praying for each other and praying with our children was just a very special and very sweet time that we had together. What are some of your memories about bedtime routines?
I remember you used to walk Alexander outside until he would sleep, and then when the other girls came along, they were just put in the crib too. They would only fuss for a little bit, and then they would go to sleep. It's amazing to me how many more details Shelley remembers about many things than I do. I love reading picture books, and so one of the neat traditions that we picked up, gosh, I'm thinking about when this was. At some point when I had gone down to TCEA, I had met some people from this Houston school called the Kincaid School, and they brought me down. And the woman who took me back to the airport after this workshop that I did for them about, doing stuff on Mac computers. I don't remember what the workshop was about. Told me that when either she or her husband would travel, they would always get a gift, bring a gift back. I think it was her spouse that would bring back the gift, and they called them happies, and this was a happy. And so then when Dad would come back or whatever, oh, Dad's got happies. And so I started to do that for the family, and a lot of times what I would bring were books, and I would get books sometimes that were about a particular area of the country. And when we would travel on trips for as family vacations or whatever, we would get books. So I remember O is for Orca. I got that one when we were up in the Pacific Northwest. And one time going up to Chicago, I think we went to Holland, Michigan, and we got, the day the Great Lakes drained away. The Hawaii books, Pele and Poliahu. Boy, that book made a real impression on Rachel. In fact, there was a voice thread that she had made, and unfortunately, the voice threads, I wonder if we downloaded that one, because there's media that we've lost over the years. There's a lot that we have, but there's some things that we've lost because the tools have gone offline. I think I still have a backed up iTunes library that has over 100 Audio Boo reflections that we did with the kids. And anyway, that website is gone, and voice thread, I don't think has our voice threads anymore. I've preserved some of them. But anyway, reading the books about Hawaii, there was one called The Storm Dog that was about a storm that, hit the
I think it was the Big Island of Hawaii, and it was about the native legends. But with Alexander, and I think with Sarah too, we'll have to ask. I mean, I think with all the kids, I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And that was really big. I love The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I got to teach that when I first became a teacher, teaching fourth grade. We would go actually get real Turkish delight, and we'd have a whole lesson because most kids had no idea what that was. And there's a scene with the White Witch, and she, uses enchanted Turkish delight to bring Edmund under her spell. But introducing our children to the love of reading, and there's just that special time of preparing for bed. And boy, it's something I've been thinking about myself too, because I go in cycles of things, and I find myself to be a lot less hard working in the evenings as I'm older now, because I used to actually just kind of be crazy working so hard and so late and so many hours, and I'm just not doing that now. But it can be really, really wonderful, of course, to read before you go to bed, especially to read fiction and things that would take your mind off of the demands of your life. And so I remember reading the Anne McCaffrey books, Dragon Song, where it was on, what was it called? Perth was the planet, and it was called Thread, but it was a extraterrestrial parasite that would rain down, and the dragon riders had to go ride up and destroy these organisms called Thread in the air with their fire breathing dragons, because if the thread would be able to hit the surface of the planet, it would burrow and then replicate, and it could take over. Anyway, I don't know. I love that book, and I remember reading that. I don't know. I think did the Hobbit, Sarah. We did the Hobbit in 5 minutes when Sarah was at class. And what year was that? Sixth grade. With what was that guy's name? That teacher. Oh, he had me convinced he was just such a wonderful teacher. He was the one that basically had packets, and the kids just did all these packets about the Lord of the Rings. But anyway, introducing them to books and to reading and to fantasy, and it was wonderful. And a lot of things got left behind in Oklahoma, but praise God, as far as I know, all of our children's books made it. We've got tubs full of books, some in the garage, some upstairs in our attic, and that is one gift that we hope to give to grandchildren someday, and just to share is our love of reading and our love of picture books. And there's something to an actual book.
Reading the Diary of Anne Frank with Rachel. That was something we read together. Oh, and I remember Wildcat reading to the kids too. When he would go, they would go to Nana Camp, or, and that was fun. So.
Yeah. Well, my dad read to me. I remember my dad read a book called Summer Dog that I loved. I think he might have read it to them too. And then I'm pretty sure my dad read Trumpet of the Swan to me by E.B. White. He wrote, what was the Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web. I mean, that was like the trilogy. But my favorite was always Trumpet of the Swan. I should go read that book again. It is awesome. And of course, singing. I don't know, man. I'm maybe it's a sign of me being emotionally brittle to not be able to, get through some things. But like, I probably won't do the whole thing. But at some point, and I don't know how old Sarah was. I would, I would sing Paradise. I still think Sarah and I should do a duet at church sometime. Yeah, that's the story. See if I can do it. I'll have to think of something that will not counter my emotion. When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky, where my parents were born. There's a backwards old town that's often remembered, so many times that the memories are warm. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lays? Oh, well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. So sometimes we travel right down the Green River to the abandoned old prison down by Adria Hill, where the air smelled like snakes and we chewed with our pistols, but empty pop bottles is all we would kill. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. The coal companies came with the world's largest shuffle, and they tortured the timber and they stripped all the land. And they dug for the coal till the land was forsaken. They wrote it all down as the progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. So I think Sarah should play that on the guitar, and then it would do a better job of covering up my often off-key voice. And I think I flipped the second and the third verses of that song. Because anyway, I sung them out of order. I love to sing. And I mean, I learned to sing a lot of songs in Scouts, camp songs and things like that. So, what other things do you remember singing? And then we'll have to wrap it up, Mom. Besides, You Are My Sunshine, Jesus Loves Me. We have Alexander singing Jesus Loves Me somewhere. We'll have to get that and put that on a podcast.
That was very sweet. Yeah. He had such a sweet little voice. He was such a good big brother and so gentle and so kind. That's another thing I love about our children is that they really do love each other. And I know the girls are getting closer now and talking more. And, it's just, I love being together with our families, with our kids. Let's see. Amazing Grace was another one I used to like to sing. And then, what's the one?
Go, Charlie.
I had this whole repertoire of songs. No, I didn't. That's later, honey. Yes, I love to sing those songs. I mean, the Wiggles were really big in our house, and Uncle Charlie was really big in our house, and I know, the Wiggles. We kind of missed the Barney phase.
What is that? What did it
Yeah, but
Oh,
wig, wig, wig. Give me that food. Yeah, the Wiggles were really fun. So that was fun. No, I'm sure all of those rocking songs will come back to me as I begin to rock my grandchildren. So I guess I need to practice up on my rocking songs. Mm-hmm. That would be nice. So I bet Rosie would like me to hold her and rock her and sing her. Oh, it's getting past my bedtime, Daddy-O. Speaking of bedtime.
Yeah.
So.
All
right. Well, this has been a special night. It's been beautiful. It really never rained hard, but it did rain enough for us to come inside. But it's lovely sitting on our back porch. And Dad fixed our lights. I really kind of like them over there with the double. That's nice. So we had to take the lights off the gate so we could get through the gate to dump the leaves because we did a lot of raking of leaves today. Wheelbarrow, yeah. So it was fun. All right. So, Wes, what do we say to end this podcast?
Go outside. Stay curious.
And have adventures?
Yep. Or keep exploring.
Or keep exploring. It's close.
That's all right. You got it. All right. Take care, everyone.
Wes and Shelley Share is a weekly podcast recorded and published on Sundays by Wesley and Shelley Fryer of Matthews, North Carolina. Learn more and find links to connect on social media to Wes and Shelley by visiting shelleyfryer.com/podcast. Content on this podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Only 3.0 license. The Wes and Shelley Share podcast is recorded and published with Anchor and distributed on all major podcast channels, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and more. Please share our show on social media and tell others about us. Let us know on Facebook or via other means what you like about the show, that you're listening, and if you have any suggestions for future episodes. Stay curious, go outside, and keep exploring.